Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Conversations with Cal. I'm your host, Cal Denicky, checking in from St. Petersburg, Florida. Today is March 19th, 2023, and we have two very special guests with us today. We have Austin O'Donohue and Landon Hullinger. These are two current college students who are collegiate athletes, and they were actually my first group of students that I ever taught. So I'm going to share a quick story. I walked into Lincoln Junior High back in January of 2017. I was 22 years old. I didn't know a single thing of what I was doing. And I filled in as a sub in an 8th grade social studies class. And I just remember getting greeted by Landon and Austin both. And they were just so happy to meet me and to want to help me, and said, "Hey guy, if you need anything, we're your guys." And I was just so flattered by these two impressive young men who just wanted to help me out because I was lost. I didn't know what was going on. I was showing videos, and it was a wild time. And so I kind of want them to say hello and kind of recall that time, because after meeting these guys, I ended up coaching them in track, and we've just developed a great friendship over the years. So Austin, I'll start with you. What do you remember about me coming into the classroom for the first time back in 2017?
First thing I thought was, who the hell is this guy? Like, you're 22. I thought you were younger than 22 at the time. Cause you were just this little guy. And I thought he was like a student that was coming in to like view a classroom to see what it was like maybe he wanted to teach middle school or something. And then we got in, but we had Mrs. Osborne in our classroom too. So she did a little bit, but then like you were the main guy. And then you were supposed to be there for a week, and I was like, well, I'll never probably see this guy again. And then spring rolled around, there you were, assistant track coach. And I was like, okay. I was like, we'll see what this guy's about. And I don't know, we just kind of stayed in touch really ever since then. You were in Lincoln obviously for a few years after that too, teaching and coaching. So
Landon, what do you remember?
Well, I remember seeing you walk in and you had just the drippiest clothes on, nice tie, dress pants, the whole 9 yards. I remember, because I swear we never saw any male teachers in middle school except for maybe two others that come to mind. But School of Rock, I'm just a Bill. That's where it all started right there. That's when I knew. I was like, this guy's cool. He's showing School of Rock videos. I'm just a Bill, catchy stuff. But no, and especially what Austin said with being an assistant track coach, that also brought us together even more outside of the classroom. And that's what developed our great friendships and the handshakes and all the cool stuff that we did.
The handshake video.
We had handshakes, and that track season, you two were absolute leaders of your class. And I'll never forget just how people gravitated towards you two and a few of the other guys in that grade. And I've been teaching for 6 years now, and you can just tell when a class has something about them. And you guys definitely had that about you. I mean, you were all athletes, you were all top students, you're all thriving in college now. It doesn't surprise me at all. And it's just great that I had that opportunity to share a few days with you, and then to coach you. And I'll never forget being in that math classroom, and a couple of the 8th grade boys walked by and they peeked their heads in my room and they went, "Oh, Mr. Denicky, I heard you're going to be the assistant track coach." And they started cheering. And
I remember that.
It was just a cool feeling. I mean, I was out in the real world for a week for the first time, and I had so many memories from that spring semester with you guys, and I just carry that with me. I'm rocking the Lincoln jersey today. I just have so much love for that community, and we'll talk about it a little bit here today. So for those of you that don't know, Landon and Austin grew up in Lincoln, Illinois, Central Illinois, small town with a big heart. That town has a huge heart, and that's what I'll always remember. And so we flash forward a couple years from when I met them as 8th graders to when they were juniors in high school. And that's when the coronavirus, the pandemic, hit in March of 2020. So I'm going to hear both of their perspectives, because most people I'm with are in their late 20s and didn't really have experiences taken away from them. So Austin, I'll start with you. What do you remember most about the pandemic hitting, school stopping? What were some of those memories like of your education getting taken away, and just your perspective from that time?
So one thing that I remember the day, it was March 13th, March 14th, 2020. So going to school that Thursday, I want to say Wednesday or Thursday, we were playing Lanphier that night in the sectional game, and we were pumped and we were hosting it. The gym, I mean, it was going to be full, sellout crowd, which that's a really good thing about like living in Lincoln. Community really rallies around sports. So, you'll know half the people in the gym, and you'll get guys from surrounding towns to come in to watch, and it's great atmosphere. And I remember sitting in Mr. Ewald's class, first hour after we had a PE, and I don't think we did anything in PE that day, like because they kind of knew what was coming. So went to early bird, just kind of sat around, went to Mr. Ewald's class. I got a text from my dad, who was on the school board, saying I'd bring her things home today. And so I was like, oh damn, like this is kind of serious. And then I remember I don't remember who came over the announcements at the high school saying like the game's canceled tonight, and then they were not going to return. Like, we're not going to return tomorrow, but after spring break we'll be back. But then I was like, obviously the text from my dad, I was like, hey, bring your stuff home. I was like, damn, like I gotta clear my locker out today. Like, is this gonna get serious? So that's kind of really what I remember, like first really learning like about like COVID was it all happened within 2 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
because the night before it wasn't talked about. I mean, the 2 days before at the game, nobody even knew what COVID was. Like, you could have said, what COVID is, and some people like, well, what's that? I mean, it just wasn't a thing that people knew about 2 days before, and then 2 days later, whole world shuts down. So that's really what I remember really first about COVID and everything.
Okay, Landon, what was your perspective like from that time period?
Just like Odie said, it really was. We played MacArthur, and if you went up to me after the MacArthur game 2 days prior to when they canceled the season, and you're like, "Hey, yeah, COVID," I'd be like, "What's COVID?" I have no idea what that. Like, I had no prior knowledge of whatever COVID was and whatnot. But like Odie said, we were, basketball. We got our season taken away from us. We were 32-2. Both of our losses were both in overtime, and they were both games that we should have won pretty handedly too, in my opinion. But that's just how it goes. What I remember the most was the night before they announced to the school to bring your things home. I was sitting in my living room with my parents, and we got a text from Coach Al, because he's also the AD at the high school. And he said, IHSA is implementing Austin, I can't remember. Was it 60
like
people?
30 people, like 60 people.
30?
And then it went down to 30 the day of.
And it went down to 30. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He said we might have to play with that. And that made me, I was very upset with that, but I knew that we were still going to play. And then there's a guy out of Chicago Sun-Times. I think his name is Michael O'Brien. I'm not 100% certain. He's a reporter. I was sitting in my living room, and I was scrolling through my phone, and I saw the article, and it said IHSA cancels state tournament. And I just dropped my phone. I looked at my mom and I showed her, and we were just devastated, absolutely devastated. I was just completely blown away by that. And then Coach Al texted us, because we practiced that day, acted like everything was normal. We're going to come in and play Lanphier. Our game plan was ready. We're going to beat them. But he called us all back to the high school, and he laid down the news, and there was just tears from everybody, but even including the coaches, just absolute devastation, especially for the seniors. That I felt the worst for the seniors, because that is just all of our dreams and what our goal was for that season to be ripped from you. And with explanation, but sort of like, come on, we were so close. At least let us play Friday. That's what I was thinking. At least let us play Friday with everybody there, with the whole school, the student body. But, that's just how it is. And I think personally, from me and OD, it makes you, it changes you as a person, but it makes you stronger.
I like that you said that, because from my perspective, not having any of those core memories taken from me since I was later in life, I think back to any student, any child, any athlete that had anything ripped away from them. And I just feel for you. I mean, for those who don't know, the town of Lincoln eats, sleeps, and breathes basketball. And when I tell you these fans and people of all ages show up for everything, it's pretty incredible. And to see that your 32-2 team that was supposed to keep going, for it to just get ripped away from you and just to have it just taken right there in that instant, I'll always feel for you. And I text you all the time still, like, and mention like guys on that team and how fun you were to watch. I used to bring my roommates to watch you guys play, and they were just like, man, this team is incredibly special. So yeah, it's something that town will never forget. And I'm glad that you have a positive outlook on it, because I know
Yeah.
from the outside, people just think like, how could you ever get over that?
Oh,
So
yeah.
going
It's
into your
exactly that.
senior year, can you both touch on just the school aspect of what it was like to learn from home? Were you okay with it? Was it just kind of touch on what was that like? Because it was unlike any other senior year in the history of forever.
We, I'll start. So honestly, the year before we really lucked out for wrestling because our state tournament's in February.
Mhm.
So we got to complete our season and, wrestled down at the state tournament. Everything was, fine. And then like 2 weeks later, like just changed. But uh but then, COVID hits, and the thing I was really wondering about, how am I gonna train? I can't go work out anywhere. I can't train like anywhere. So we were just working out in my garage. Like we just got a weight set and like we would just lift in the garage, and there wasn't places to like go wrestle or anything. So like to be like an athlete during that time, like first was so hard because there wasn't much. You like Landon couldn't go to even like to the rec and play basketball. Like just none of that stuff could happen. But that, like, after we canceled and then like we had online stuff, but honestly, like nobody did anything. Like it was just kind of a joke after that. We just got a 2-month extended spring break into summer break. And then going into that summer, and I'd been training, and I was actually I was at a CrossFit gym in Lincoln when they came out when the sports were going to be played. And like the thing that really made me mad, our season got pushed back to the summer. Like our state tournament was June 26th. And so I have been graduated for a month and a half at that point, like still having to go back to school every day to go to practice and then get on a bus at the beginning of June and have to go compete, trying to keep my weight down. Like I just wasn't enjoying like summer, but like it like made me glad like to know that like I wasn't having to go to school and wrestle. Like on top of it, like I just had to manage school one time and then I just had to manage wrestling at another time, like for my senior year. But like school was weird. Like we did a block schedule. We didn't do a 7-hour schedule. We did a 3 or 4 hour schedule every day. Like our teachers would give us like breaks during class. We'd go take like a 20-minute break during class, go outside if it was nice. And I mean, it was like we didn't have PE class. Like we were getting out of school at 1 o'clock every day. Like it was so weird. Couldn't go to any sporting events, anything like that. But I don't know. I mean, it just like Landon got to play basketball in the winter where you're all over each other, which honestly I don't see it much different than wrestling. Like, but we just had to go in the summer. So I was like really mad about that. But I really enjoyed myself though, actually that summer, just being with like my teammates and everything. I mean, we'd go to a duel and we'd be wrestling outside.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, you would never do that in December, but since we were in June, we could go wrestle on like a track, or we hosted a duel on our football field. Like we just took mats outside and took it to the football field
Mhm.
and had a duel. And so we got to do stuff like that, which is really cool, which you don't really see ever.
Mhm.
So just the kind of experiences we had. I broke a few records my senior year. So I mean, I had a great time, but I wish I would have just rather done it in the winter, just so I could have had like my spring and my summer and continue to train for college. Like even like I was during season coming to the end of the year and I still hadn't picked where I was going to go to school yet. So like I was kind of struggling with that. It took me a while to kind of decide where I wanted to go, but finally got that figured out. So everything ended
Yeah.
up well.
And so Landon, OD described it as just being a weird year, like that senior year. How would you describe just the overall feel of what it
Exactly.
was
It's
like?
terrible. It was awful. It wasn't. We didn't have any of your pep assemblies. You didn't have basketball games were like practices.
Mhm.
No fans were there. You just played. It was just terrible. Like junior year summer, after when COVID everything started, I mean, you really, like Austin said, you didn't really know. Luckily, I have a barbell and some dumbbells in my basement. I mean, that's kind of what you did. I picked up Guitar Hero. I was a pretty good Guitar Hero player during the summer. I haven't got it out since probably COVID, but now I really picked that up, and I got pretty darn good at it, I think. But when senior year started, basketball, we didn't start playing till late February, March, I think. We didn't start because the winter of Christmas, I was at home. We didn't have any practices or
Couldn't
anything.
travel anywhere.
No,
Usually
couldn't
you guys
travel.
down in Collinsville, and I mean,
Yeah,
there was no tournaments.
no,
ever.
there was absolutely nothing. No, because that, and then of course the season's like a month long, but Coach Al finds a way to squeak in 30 games like he usually would, and we're playing 7 games in 10 days. I think that was the most we played was 7 games in 10 days. Yeah, I think.
I do remember watching you on YouTube that year. Everyone had a mask on. The gyms were empty. It was different, but Lincoln basketball is still going to do their thing. So you guys were fun to watch.
And the important thing was that I know Austin will 100% agree with me on is recruiting. Recruiting went down completely once COVID hit. And of course, it's not fair to any of the other athletes. It's really hard for coaches to watch kids play if they can't go. I mean, and only certain schools really like video them and show, but a coach wants to be there and watch a kid play. COVID really stopped. And especially with our season, when I was talking to Coach Al, he said that the 2014 state team that went, they started getting college looks when they got to their super sectional game and on. Mm-hmm. See, we would have gotten close to that. We would have gotten more college exposure the more we won. We didn't get that chance, so we didn't get a lot of the exposure that we should have had. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, and Landon's playing basketball collegiately at Millikan University. OD is wrestling at Marian University in Indianapolis, and they're both doing great things. And they made it to where they are at, but it obviously was a little bit different than the traditional college athlete. So I wanted to talk about college with you guys. It's crazy I'm even saying that because I still think of you as 14-year-olds, but you're both in college. You're both doing great things. Austin, I'll start with you. What was it like for you to leave home for the first time, and especially going to a big city like Indianapolis? What was that experience like leaving home for the first time, and how was it for you?
I really struggled kind of like the first semester last year. Like I had been to places like for camps, like going into my junior year, I went down to Stillwater, Oklahoma, to Oklahoma State and did a 10-day camp down there. And then I'd been to U of I a couple times for like 10-day camps, but I'd never gone somewhere for months and been 3 hours away from everybody. Like I knew nobody, obviously, in Indianapolis. I had met my roommate once before we had moved in. Mm-hmm. So I like literally knew nothing about him or anybody, but we brought in a big freshman class kind of for wrestling. I think we brought in like 8 guys. So that was really good, because then you get to start knowing them, and then you get to start knowing the people that they know. And Indianapolis is great. I mean, we got Colts, Pacers, we got a minor league AAA affiliate baseball team. There's always stuff to do. So kind of once I got settled in, probably the second semester, it made things a lot easier. Mm-hmm. And I kind of went home a lot last year, but I think I've only been home. I went home for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and spring break this year, and I think one other time. So,
I can tell you from personal experience, the longer you stay, the more you get attached to it, and you're going to go home less. So it's awesome to hear that you struggled to start, but then it's like, hey, this is my home now, and going home less is a good sign.
Yeah, no, we figured it out, and I mean, now like just everybody, we're so tight now. Like I could probably, like a roommate situation like that, I could dig at like 3 different scenarios on like people who like we could room with, just because like we're all. I obviously I have the same roommate I had last year though, so me and him, I think we live really well together. Like we don't like have like we don't get in arguments just about like stupid stuff or anything. We just both give each other enough leeway, and like we're both good with each other. But yeah, definitely like coming to the city too, it's so much more fast paced than little Lincoln, Illinois. Like for the first time today, actually, I honked at somebody because they didn't get off at the light fast enough, and you're in a city, you're honking. I actually honked at somebody because I could see them looking down at their phone when they were driving, and like there's 3 cars in front of him. The arrow turned green to like turn left, and he just sat there, and I hit my horn at him. So I'd never done that before. It was my first time doing that. I felt really good.
Congratulations. So
But,
Landon,
I mean,
Landon, how did your, sorry to cut you off,
no,
Austin.
you're
Landon,
good. I
how
was
did,
just
how did your experience compare to Austin's? So you were a little bit closer to home going to Milliken
Yeah.
and Decatur, and being a little closer to home may have been an easier experience, but what was it like for you leaving for the first time?
It was a fairly easy experience. Decatur, I've got family in Decatur. My dad grew up there. He went to MacArthur High School right there in Decatur. My grandparents used to live in Decatur. And my mom actually attended Milliken University, and so did my uncle. And my parents actually met at the bar that's on campus at Milliken University, which is funny.
So they
But
know the Hullinger name around those
yeah,
parts.
yeah, yeah, they do. But it was I mean, it was, of course, it's, you're on your own. I mean, the responsibilities are a lot greater. I mean, you're going to class, and I mean, you're by yourself for the most part for those first couple of, months. I mean, you're still have your roommates and you're meeting friends, but it's truly about kind of how you perceive what you want to do. Kind of it's up to you on what you do and how are you going to set yourself up to succeed in the classroom, athletically, and just all around being a good college student. um, Being like 45 minutes away from my house is really awesome. I can come back and forth if there's like a birthday dinner for something. I can, I'm only 40 minutes away. I can come back here. Or say if Austin is in Lincoln for the weekend, I can make a trip down to Lincoln. It's not that hard. Or he can come see me. It's just one of those. It's kind of an easy thing. But and I mean, it's a decent sized city, and I mean, it's not a very safe city.
Decatur is
Austin knows what I'm
Decatur.
talking about. Yeah, but Milliken University itself is fairly safe. Just don't go outside of certain areas, and these students are educated on that. And it's for what I wanted to study. Milliken had fantastic programs, and that's what sold me really. I wanted to play athletically, basketball, of course, but Milliken offered. They have a great science program. They have a great biology program that I'm in, and their nursing's really good too. There's just a lot of things that played into my decision.
Okay. I like all that. So you guys are about 2 years in to your college experience, about halfway through. So my next question, Austin, I'll start with you, would be, what have you taken away in these last 2 years? What is something that you've taken away that you didn't expect going into your college experience?
Definitely, like, it's all about how much you're gonna work. Like, however good you want to be, that's how good you got to work at it. Uh, don't take it for granted, for sure. I've never been hurt really playing sports or anything, and last year I was out for about a month with a knee injury. Turn around, start getting practices in, getting good matches in, starting to win, and boom, I get quarantined.
Mhm.
And then I'm back to sitting out. I had to go home. And so, I mean, it's just like you got to get the opportunities that you got to take those and run with them. Like, you can't just kind of squander, I guess, and just say, I'm here, and you really got to work for it. This year, just going through some things with I had some stomach issues. I was just openly refluxing all the time, had that going into my lungs. So ended up having to get surgery over Christmas break and missed the rest of the season. Just got cleared last week. So, I mean, I got to work double to get back, to even where I was, and then got to work more to even get better than that. And but the good thing about being here though, a lot of teammates that are willing to push me. We took 7th in the country this year in NAIA at the national tournament. We took 5th at the national dual tournament. I mean, we're a 7th-year program, but every year we're progressively getting better.
Mhm.
And that was one thing I really looked for when going to college. Like, as a team in high school, we had success really about 1 year, and my junior year we won our regional for the first time since like 1985. And, we had some success going as a team, won a lot of duels and had a lot of success in them, but not really any other years. So I knew I wanted to go to a place that was, successful. And I knew I would have guys, some of the best guys in the country to work around. And I really found that here, which is great. And the team chemistry, we hang out with each other all the time. Guys are always practicing together. You can always text in our group chat and be like, hey, anybody want to go get a lift in, or anybody want to go roll around in the mat room? And I think, hopefully next year we, pop into the top 5 in the country, which I really think we can. And the team that's beat us in our conference, they're a top 3 team in the country, and we lost to them at the conference tournament by 2.5 points this year. And they're graduating a ton of people. We got a lot of guys returning. And so next year, I think really next year, we can pop through as we start to get a little older. We can pop through into the top 5 in the country and really be like a threat. But just being around I just love being around everybody here, and a lot of guys are here really for us. So,
well, that's great, Landon. What would be your experience 2 years in of something that you've learned? Whether that's through athletics, through just being a college student, making friends, what do you take away from your experience so far?
The making friends part was very easy. My roommates are great. All the basketball guys are fantastic. I learned a lot about sort of dealing with conflicts and obstacles. I've played 2 years of collegiate basketball. I have been finding a hard time to stay healthy. I missed my freshman year last year to a broken kneecap. I was out for the first half of the season, and then this year I was out for the second half of the season when I broke my foot against Wesleyan at Wesleyan. So basically, I played 2 years, and you could say I've sat on the sideline for 1 full season, because a half and the half season, put those together, it's 1. But I've learned a lot about dealing with stress of being on the sideline. Because I've never really had to deal with anything like that in high school, thankfully. But everybody deals with stress differently. It's really about distracting yourself, because you're sitting on the sideline, you wish you could be a part of what's going on, and practice you're on the sideline. It's kind of rough. Just you feel you're still a part of the team, but you just can't do everything else that everybody else is doing. So that kind of gets in your head a little bit. But I of course was just working upper body stuff, just trying to do like athletic things that way I didn't hurt my foot or anything else, but it's just about taking everything in stride and surrounding yourself with those people, of your roommates and your basketball buddies, and just truly just indulging. Of college is 4 years, and it goes by so fast. I can't believe this is the fastest a basketball season has gone for me ever. And to think I only have 2 more years to play competitively, and then I'll go to some 40-year-old men's leagues. I'm going to try to enjoy it as much as I can and stay healthy. But my college experience has been fantastic. I really couldn't have asked for a better group of guys to hang out with, and the professors and just everything at Millikan. It's truly been great.
Hey, well, my men's league team needs a small forward here in a couple of years. So if you're willing to come down to Florida, we're willing to have you. So
let me know.
No, I just love what both of you have done, and to see you grow into the young men you've become. It's a proud feeling. And I don't know if you can understand that from your perspective, being someone who was in my classroom and I coached you, but it's just incredible, and it doesn't surprise me what you two are doing. So I'm just so happy that we're able to have this conversation. And we're running a little bit low on time, but one thing I like to do to end the podcast is to just share one thing on your mind. So whether it's a documentary or a movie, a book, something that's going on in the world right now, just let the people know what's something you've been into lately. Austin, I'll start with you, and then we'll flip over to Lando.
Well, obviously, March Madness going on. So Texas, my pick to win it. They're still in. Good game last night against Penn State. Just been watching. I followed along with the Murdoch trials, kind of, and that whole thing that was going on. That was really interesting. I try to learn about like kind of weird things, just so I have some weird knowledge, to have. I've learned a lot about tourism in North Korea, when like before COVID, like I would watch people who went to North Korea, and like kind of they'd blog about it. So I'd watch that and like some just weird stuff. But if there's any kids out here watching, I didn't have to do it at Lincoln Community High School. We didn't study a lot, but one thing you need to learn for college if you want to go is learn to study and learn how to study good, that where you don't have to do it too long, but you need to know how to do this stuff once you get to college, because if you don't, it's tough and you will fall behind in classes.
Okay. Landon, what about you? What's on your mind, kid?
One thing that I'm going to recommend to both of you right now are two things. One is it's March Madness. Go watch Survive and Advance 30 for 30. Always watch it in March. You got to watch it. I watched it the other day. Always a classic. And two, if you guys ever get a chance, pick up Matthew McConaughey's book, his memoir called Green Lights.
My mom told me to try reading it, and she had the online ebook and he was reading it. And
I haven't done that.
I struggled listening to Matthew McConaughey talk.
If you just read it, it's a great story. It talks about his life and just even more positive based things and motivational things from him and his career. It's honestly fantastic. So you guys should definitely pick it up. But one thing I would say to kids going away at college, recognize self-accountability. Recognize that you are in charge of your whole life. I mean, you're not going to be going home to your parents. Your parents are doing this. You are really out. This is kind of a glimpse of what the real world is to start. You know, you're in a dorm with other people. Be self-accountable. Time management's huge. Studying, like Austin said, is ginormous. I mean, and time management, 100%. Put your time into things that matter and put the quality of your work into homework, tests, studying, whatever it is. Make sure it's quality. Make sure there's a lot of it. That's basically all I've got to say to the high school kids going out to college.
Yeah, and I even tell my middle school kids all the time, like, you turn 16, you get a car, their eyes light up. You turn 18, you leave the house, their eyes light up. But I try to tell them, like, there's a lot that comes with that, and responsibility is huge. So if you can start building the habits in middle school of whether it's getting your homework done, doing your chores, saving your money, I try my best to instill that in my kids, because I mean, you two are a prime example of two kids that have done exactly that, and it's leading you down a path to success. And so, I mean, if anyone who's out there listening can just take a little bit from that, it'll go a long way. So I want to just say thank you guys again for coming on. It's been a blast, and I continue to look forward for our relationship to grow and to meet up, hopefully at least once a year, like we said, Landon, whether it's in Florida or Illinois or wherever that might be. So I just appreciate you guys, and I thank you for coming on.
Hey, can I get that Stephen A. Smith impression real quick?
I forgot about that.
Oh man, now you're pulling back the Wayback Machine. I forgot. Yeah,
Mario Chalmers.
Mario Chalmers should not even be seeing the basketball in the fourth quarter. That's all I got.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
Thanks for joining, guys. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Stay in touch, Cal.
Stay in touch.